Hey there, this is Kelly Pinkowski with In the Spotlight, and today we're shining the light on Talents FXBG. This is a homeschool-oriented theater program, and joining me today is Lisa Dunnivan, the director and founder of Talents FXBG. Lisa, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Oh, thank you for having me on. It's so nice.
Absolutely. Let's just dive into it. How did this group get started?
So we started this is our ninth season, so about 9 years ago, I guess. And we actually spawned off of another drama program that was run through a local homeschool group that's fabulous. And we expanded into an individual drama group because we were just outgrowing the space that we had. And our homeschool group leader said, I think you should, if you want, you consider going on and creating a larger type of organization. So that way we could kind of meet the needs of all of these homeschoolers that were wanting to really explore more. Um, so we started from there, and there I was the assistant director and the music director. And then we also were founded, it wasn't solely for that reason. We were also founded because my daughters did dance and soccer and taekwondo and all kinds of things. And we were finding that other theater programs, it was hard to fit into our schedule. And they were all fabulous in the whole area, every one of them, you can't go wrong. But they were harder to fit into our schedule. And we were also founded with this idea that people could do theater and soccer and they could do theater and other things, and
Right.
dance and things. And so we were like, well, how can we do this? How can we make that happen? And we're like, well, we homeschool, let's do it during the day. So it's part of, a student's curriculum. And we formed, I sat down with some of the other moms that were part of our drama group in 2017, and we've created the board of directors. And we were created with this idea that it was going to, of course, culminate in a good show, a great show. That was one of our main goals, was to create a Broadway style show that was very high quality. But we also wanted a program where it was accessible to everyone. We wanted to keep our fees low, and we also wanted to keep our tuition low. So we wanted to keep like our ticket sales prices lower, and then also our tuition low, so that we were finding that oftentimes people were having to choose, okay, well, I can get two kids in, but it's kind of expensive to get six kids in, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We also knew we wanted to do a year-round program as homeschoolers. We knew that we wanted it to keep going on. We didn't want it to be only one show and then recast, because the kids built such a huge connection. And we saw that, we saw how important it was. And so we said, we definitely want to go year-round. We'll make it a full theater arts program. We'll offer improv and skits and monologues and all kinds of things alongside of putting on our musical every year. And we also realized that we wanted to keep it all ages. So we go from age 6 to 18, because in homeschooling in particular, it usually is a family ordeal to participate in different classes and things. And we found a lot, and throughout the other years of drama, that the older teens really helped mentor and helped coach up some of the younger kids as well. And back then, that was my kid. My kids were the younger ones. And so I saw it firsthand, that how they were, really benefiting from being in the class of all ages. So that's how we were founded.
Yeah, you said it for a kid from 6 to 18. How, like, at a ballpark, how many kids are usually enrolled in this each year?
So this year we have 50, and we usually go anywhere between 40 to 50, and we actually have to cap it off. We've had a waiting list of about 40
Wow.
kids every year. Homeschooling is very popular in this area, and so is theater. And there's limited stages and limited resources. So we've had a waiting list of about 40 to 50 kids every year, and we try to admit off of that. But after 50, it just gets to be too much for our rehearsal space and for our show. So, we want to keep it a quality program.
That's just a testament to how in demand a program like this is. So, and like you were saying, homeschooling is very popular in this area. I want to ask, because you mentioned you guys started in 2018. After the shutdown happened with COVID-19, did everything just skyrocket, I would assume, in demand and in popularity?
It actually kind of was slow going right after COVID, right after the shutdown, because people were a little hesitant still to go out and to get involved in groups. And I think a lot of homeschoolers, especially, had kind of been like, "Oh, I forgot what it's like to stay at home," because as home, most homeschoolers will tell you that we're never at home. We're always on the road to different classes and co-ops and things. But we actually stayed online throughout all of COVID. We kept doing drama, and we would go and film in person and have different families come in, and they would have practiced their skits at home, and then we would film it and put together whole shows, and we would rehearse on Zoom.
Oh,
And we stayed together, during that time, because we are a year-round program, and these kids are like the best of friends, and it was really a way to get all of us through, through that. So afterward, yeah, definitely the last couple of years, the demand has skyrocketed, and the kids are so excited, and many kids are in like 4 or 5 different theater groups in this area, so it's very, very popular.
so with that popularity and that big sense of community, when people are auditioning for roles, I guess I should ask that, are they auditioning and is it competitive or is it more of a you figure out who's going to be the best for a different part?
Right, that's a great question. So the way we do it is we do just enroll, and we could do continuing enrollment. So I've had some kids now, well, even since before Talents was formed, and I was the assistant director for 10 years, and since they were little tiny, and they're graduating now, and and we do continuing enrollment, so they're guaranteed enrollment for the next year. And what we do is we help the kids actually help us choose what big musical we're doing in the spring, and then we do auditions within the group, and it always starts over with a clean slate. However, we do have a standing rule because it is for education. We are really student focused, and that's a really important part for us. We have something called no double leads. So if somebody was a lead like last year, then they're not going to be, and they know that they're not going to be cast as a leading role this year. They can still get a good speaking part,
Right.
but and that way it's nice and fair, and that way also all of the kids get opportunities to be leads. And speaking of that, we also double cast our shows, and what that means is we have 2 full casts. So we have like a Saturday cast, and then we have a Sunday cast, and they're completely equal. It's not like it's an A and B cast or anything like that. They're completely equal, and we do that to give the kids more opportunities to have those speaking roles and to have ensemble roles, because ensemble is all of the choreography and almost every scene in these shows, and that's where the hard work is in those
Right.
ensembles. But that's also where like so much of the team building comes in, and so much of the fun and camaraderie is in the ensemble roles. So it's really nice because the kids get to be a part of all of it, and it really creates this very nice team atmosphere for the kids. So that's how we usually work. And the other nice thing about that is then we have built-in understudies. So if somebody happens to get sick on their
Mhm.
Sunday role, then our Saturday person can step in and fill in for them. So we like it for a number of reasons. It just gives so many opportunities to do it that way. Oops, I'm disappearing. It is a little bit, harder to rehearse, but over these years we've perfected it. I think pretty close to it. We've got it down.
But that's a really clever way to expand the number of, like you said, the number of opportunities for each of these kids to have this experience, to offer two totally full casts. I mean, I'm sure that's a lot of legwork and logistics, but that's a really smart solution. So I'm impressed with that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I can't imagine it doing any other way. It's so fun.
Yeah.
And it
So
creates
let's
kind of two
check in on
different
what you were
shows.
saying. You said you typically have a big spring musical. How many performances a year do you guys typically do?
So it depends on when the spring musical is. So like this year we did 3 performances of different kinds, and then usually
Hmm.
we have 4 performances if we're not until later in the spring. And our performances are we always do a talent show that's student led and developed, and the kids get a chance to do whatever they want to do, and we encourage them to do musical theater pieces that they might not otherwise get a chance to do, and to direct. We usually do a student-led winter show, which is and created, and the kids come up with a theme, they come up with like a plot, and then we loosely thread it together, and it's a bit of a variety show, but it tells a story, or it has like a game show theme, or there's just been all different kinds. And then the groups, they create their own acts for that, and they get to do we kind of assign the categories, if it's going to be a comedy skit or a musical piece or a dance piece, and then from there they take off and they have to create something that's theme based, and it's really fun and a great experience, especially for our high schoolers, because they get to fully lead in that. In middle schoolers, honestly, they always step up to the plate big time. And then we also do a really fun murder mystery dinner, and we call it just a mystery theater dinner. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
not murder. Sometimes it's just theft. But that one's so fun. It's just a play, and they get to really be in a farce for that. So that's like so exciting to way overact and be so silly and have a great time with their characters, and they get to develop those characters. So sometimes in our musicals, you don't get as much of a chance to develop your character because it's so well known. But in like
Right.
a murder mystery, you can really add on a lot of quirks and differences and stuff. So it's a lot of fun.
That sounds like a great time. So you've talked about how the students have a lot of input into different things. They help pick the musical, they take on all these different roles, and they plan things. Who are the adults that are helping lead this?
Another great question. So we're all volunteers. That was one of the ways we figured out that we could be a low cost, was basically we
Hmm.
volunteer as opposed to getting paid. And so we're all volunteers, and we have a music director who is Mindy Steinegger right now. My assistant director and pretty much stage manager is Maria Coleman. And then we have our room coordinator, who is the amazing Miss Lila Sunderland. She's just fabulous. And then I direct. And usually Maria and I, and then our kid, we actually have a lot of student choreographers. They're amazing dancers and they have tons of experience. We create all the choreography for the shows. And then we also always have almost always we have a student director. And this year my daughter is 18, and so she's actually the student director, but she's not normally a student director, although
Yeah.
she has always helped me quite a bit. Ella Dunnivan is the student
Yeah.
director this year, but other years, it's usually a senior, someone who's a senior and has been in it for a while, and then they help lead the groups quite a bit.
Yeah. And so I mean, when you think back with this program, because it sounds like you've been doing this for an incredible amount of time, what do you think is the most rewarding part of it for the student? If they do it a couple of years, what kind of changes do you think they find in themselves?
Well, for sure, it's the bonds that they create with each other, and we really work to give them that opportunity. So for us, we focus on the students' relationships together, their friendships, and their just being a team first, and then from that comes these amazing shows. And we always say, oh well, what's on stage looks good, but what's backstage looks beautiful. It's like that's where the magic is backstage, with everybody supporting one another. And I think, definitely the kids will say the biggest thing here is, being in it together. And I used to coach swimming and teach swimming. And a lot of those kids would also be really well bonded. And I really do think that that element of kind of not being sure about something, like being nervous together and everything, uh, goes together with this. Like it really bonds people together because they're sharing in that, they're being very vulnerable together, and learning together and putting themselves out there in front of everybody. And with theater arts, it just builds so much. They have to be in the moment, and they have to, it builds the teamwork and paying attention to each other, and then the empathy and learning how to put themselves in, other people's shoes. Like we're doing Newsies right now, and I don't know if you know what the Newsies is, but it's based on a true story, and the Newsies have to. The kids have to put themselves in the shoes of these newsies, and a lot of our students, of course, thankfully, have no idea what it's like to be hungry and to have to work, just to be able to eat today. So like learning all of those things, and just learning that they can do stuff. When we first start the choreography, it's challenging and it's a lot, and there's a lot of different moving pieces and a lot of patience and everything, to try to learn it. And you'll hear them say, I don't think I can do this, but then they do it. And there's really, I always tell them, like, the show weekend is like actually getting to the Super Bowl, but you're guaranteed to win as long as you practice, like as long as you're there
Yeah.
and you're ready, and you can help support each other. And so I think that that's such a great, feeling to just reach those goals and to work so long, in this day of kind of instant gratification that I think so many of us know about. Theater is something that just cannot come instantly. It is a process, and it takes a long time to get to that big goal, but it's just so rewarding once you get there. I would imagine that's what they're taking out afterward, is those friendships and then that kind of winning feeling.
So let's ask that question then. So if somebody has a homeschool student and they're having that sort of nervousness and I don't think I can do that, what would your advice be to them? If they say, I'm too shy, I'm
Oh
not good
yeah.
at singing, what would you say?
Well, we have that all the time. We even had a student who, she, for her first year, she sat under the table, for the first part of for the first few weeks, and she wanted
Oh,
to be there, but she was shy. And by the end, she was a lead. By the time she had graduated, she was a lead. So it's just a lot of growth. Um, and I say, to me, in theater, there's a place for everyone, and just come to the rehearsals, enjoy it. If you want, to hum along with the songs, or just listen. And if they don't want to do the choreography, we at our group, we find a place for them. So, if we don't have this year, but for example, if someone wasn't comfortable doing the choreography, well, then they'll get a cart with something to sell, if they're in a news square or something along those lines. Like, they get something.
sure.
And almost always, by the time the show comes, they're like, I think I want to do the choreography. And we're like, okay, let's go for it. So we leave that open. And then we also have tech opportunities. So if they're really like, no, the stage is not my place at all, and we say, okay, well, do you want to stay and watch? And then you can help move set pieces, you can help us with props, you can help do hair and makeup, and those
Mhm.
sorts of things. And that helps people feel really comfortable, the kids to feel quite comfortable. We let them grow from where they're at, and we've always said that. And that's the same thing with casting. Like, if they're really not ready, we're not going to put them in, a big role, even if they have the most beautiful voice in the
Right.
world. If they're not ready, then there's no chance we're going to put them there, because that would not create the love of theater that we're hoping that they'll have.
Yeah. And so, like you mentioned, you guys have Newsies is your production that's coming up. It's March 21st and 22nd, that's Saturday and Sunday. What are your show times?
3 o'clock and 6 o'clock, and it's actually, it's called Newsies Junior. It's the same story, same
Okay.
show, and we do the junior shows for the same reason why we do a lot of things. It gives our kids more opportunities, because there's in the junior shows, they actually create more speaking characters, so it gives more opportunity for kids to have speaking lines. And then the junior shows are also, the keys are adjusted for the maturing voices, so as they're
Mhm.
growing,
That makes
and
sense.
that way they're not stretching their vocals, out of range and where they're not ready to. So we always choose the junior shows so that we, can do a really fabulous job with the amount of time we have, and then also for those reasons that I just mentioned.
That makes sense. I didn't realize that, but that's a great point. The
Yeah.
voices of a 10-year-old versus a 18-year-old versus a 30-year-old. That's a great point. So it sounds like you guys have put a lot of thought into creating a program that's accepting and welcoming and empowering students of all ages. Like you said, 6 to 18. It's a huge range, and there's a home for everybody.
Yeah, that's what we go for sure. That's what we're really all about. We just want them to have a great time, and we're there because we love the kids, and we want everybody to have a really good time. And we're there for, the kids to grow and to learn. And when I say we, I'm talking about our directing team and Miss Lila, and then really all the parents, because all the parents end up involved. Of course, I think that's in all theater groups, but we have opportunities opportunities for helping create costumes, set, and props, and helping with hair and makeup. It's kind of the things I mentioned before, the sound, lights. There's just a lot of things that go into it, marketing. So, all of the parents, I think, and us, we're all in it for all of the kids, and it's just a really beautiful thing when everybody's there for everyone else. It makes it a lovely thing to be a part of.
Yeah. Well, I want to make sure we shout out if people want to buy tickets to your show or even just learn more about the group, they can visit talentfxbg.com
Hmm.
and they'll find out more about how to get in touch with you guys and, of course, how to help support the theater program and buy tickets to Newsies Junior.
Yes, that's right.
Perfect. Well,
Yes.
Lisa, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today and share about the incredible program that you guys have created. Thank you for taking the time to jump into the spotlight with me.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It was so nice to meet you. Have a great day.
You too. And for anybody else who's watching, if you've got something that you'd like to be featured on In the Spotlight, send me an email at kellys.localnews@gmail.com. Thanks for watching and have a great day.